Hey guys, DesolatorMagic here, and it's finally time and timely time to make a video on this topic. It's investors. Specifically MTG investors. I mean, who elected these people to be the middlemen to just sit there and hoard stuff just because they've got a credit card in their hand in a, I don't know, some storage facility or a basement or something? Like, they're not an official distributor for Wizards, but they're just sitting there, buying up 10,000 boxes and sitting on them. So, like, what gives them the right to do that other than it is legal in the US to do that? That was a recent court thing against AutoCAD and I believe some coach purse manufacturer or something. It was found that once you've bought something, a physical good, you can do whatever the hell you want with it. You are allowed to resell it because why wouldn't you be? The original company you bought it from cannot block you from reselling it. So, I guess that gives them the right to do it, but morally, I find it very questionable. Now, do I have a problem with somebody who's been playing the game for 10 years and happens to have a trade binder with $2,000 and they have a small vested interest in what some Avacyn Restored and Zendikar cards do? No, I mean, they're actually playing the game. Yeah, they're accidentally invested in the game just because they've bought into it in the past. They bought tons of product and now they're holding on to older singles for modern purposes. They're not true investors. Even store owners, I mean, every LGS in my area has boxes on the wall that go back like quite a ways. Some of the bigger ones have boxes going way, way, way back. I mean, we're talking like 10, 15 bucks a pack level back. But most of the time, they're also kind of accidental investors. I mean, they sell standard because that's what sells. And Commander, maybe some of the side products, maybe Plain Chase Anthology. Yeah, right. Maybe they sold 2. But just because you got 2 boxes of Avacyn Restored on your wall doesn't mean you're an investor and a long-term card hoarder. I mean, it's so small scale, and it's just to help out people, and it's just to add on a little bit of extra money, because a lot of those boxes in that particular case were bought at distributor prices, like 60, 70, 80 bucks at the time. So a shop doing that, it mostly just benefits people because there it is on the wall if they really want to draft it or really want to buy it or whatever. And then if they really wanted, they could cash in and sell like a box for, 300, 400, 500 bucks if it's old enough and popular enough. I mean, if Scars of Mirrodin, that's up there a ways. I think that's on the wall at one of my local gaming stores. But first and foremost, they sell standard. They help out the market the way it was actually designed, and they promote the game by, being a WPN location, holding places to actually play and actual events. So I would consider an investor to be not even still somebody who plays the game all the time, loves it, puts a lot of money into it as their main hobby, and then every time a set comes out, they leave an entire case of 6 booster boxes sealed and store them in their closet. I mean, they are literally investing in Magic, but they're so small scale, it's like, whatever. They're just doing it to do it. Maybe they just like to have the boxes as a collection with the intent to also sell it later if it spikes. They're not living off of it. They actually play the game, and it's just smart and a good way to recover some of your money. What I consider investors is people who usually do not play the game. That's kind of a trait. I mean, I'm not saying there's not somebody with 10,000 boxes that also goes to F&M, but they do tend to not play the game anymore because their business is making money off of you. Now, this is where it gets complicated. I'll keep coming back to this, but investors ensure the availability of older sets by taking the risk themselves, taking the effort to store the product, and then making sure that, boxes of just whatever, we'll go to Scars of Mirrodin. If you really want to draft Scars of Mirrodin with your friends or something, or you really want to buy it because there's good cards in it, they make it available. You could take certain stuff like, all 7.hack games. You go try and find online right now all 7.hack games for the PS2. Try and find a complete lot anywhere on eBay, Amazon, private listing, collectibles, auction. I can almost guarantee you won't find a single set of them. Nobody was thinking to sit on them. Now think if there was a huge PS2 game hoarder and they just bought up 100 copies of every single game that came out. Probably not a good idea financially, which is why nobody does it. But if they saw this one coming and knew it would go up and knew it was super rare, but knew that anime fans would catch up after the anime aired and would want it, you're looking at easily 400 bucks a set for that game right now, probably higher. Or I should say for those 7 games, the 3 GU and all 4 .hacks. For all I know, I was the last person on planet Earth to sell them, and I sold them 8 years ago. I finally got my hands on all 7. It took me 9 months to do it. And then, I bought them up just to play through them once. Big fan of the anime, by the way. If I get the money, I'm dressing up as Tsukasa for Kitsune-con, which, by the way, I'll be at. But, I bought them to play through them, and then I just sold them because I wanted the money out of it. And I happened to make about 2-to-1 profit because I got them from really just opportunities. I guess that's why they call them as such. But for anybody else, let's say there's 100 people out there who want to play through the games. Well, besides, emulators and ROMs and, cheating, if you literally wanted them for your collection, you just can't find them. They just don't exist. Well, how is that an option? Like, I want them. Like, what the hell? There was millions made. How are there 0 for sale? Well, because nobody cared to make sure that they were available long term. So investors, they're sitting on 1,000 boxes of Scars of Mirrodin. Oh boy, now everybody can buy it for 4 or 5 or 10 times the price. And they're not really doing it for the goodness of their heart. Okay, let me give you another example. Oh, there's a big drought in California. Okay, I have nothing to do this weekend. I'm going to fill up a 20,000 gallon tanker truck just full of water from a place that's flooded or full of snow. We'll just say Wisconsin for now. How about that? And I'll drive it down there and sell it to those poor Californians because, that they need to water their lawns too, and I'm sure that would be legal if you can prove that the water did not come from the California water system. I don't think they'd have a problem with you watering your lawn with Wisconsin water. Oh, except I'm going to charge you $500 per lawn. Oh, and the only people who can pay for it are the ultra-rich celebrities. Guess what? I'm not doing that for the goodness of my heart. I mean, yes, I am accidentally and inadvertently helping people out who are in a tough situation and need something that I have, but really I'm just there for the money. And I think that's the perfect metaphor, simile, example, whatever you would call it. It's the best comparison to what I would say MTG investors are like. They're accidentally helping people out who want older products, and really they just want money. They just want your money, and they establish themselves as some unofficial middleman. And I don't even understand that. It works when you're like, oh, these guys cut down the trees. Those guys ship the tree trunks to the factory. That company chops it up into lumber. They sell it to a lumber liquidator not really a liquidator, a reseller who sells it to a construction company. Okay, they all do different things. The construction company, blah, 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 builders, is not going to hire lumberjacks to go out to the woods. That actually makes sense to have middlemen. The middlemen actually do something, and they actually do something productive. And yes, it adds a whole bunch of money to the chain at the end of the day, but is there really going to be a lumberjacking/lumber/construction company? I would assume there actually probably is, but typically no. So let's go to McDonald's, and the person taking your order knows that it's only $3 for this combo, but they're going to charge you $3.50, and then when they walk back to the kitchen, they're going to order it for $3, and then they'll put $3 in, and they'll keep 50 cents as a finder's fee or as a middleman fee. Who the hell elected them the middleman? Half the time you wouldn't even know about it. You wouldn't even know that you're paying more, except that you can look at the menu. Terrible example. But you get it. Not every business can have a middleman. So Wizards goes, we print it, and yes, they do direct sell it to some people, so it's not the perfect example, but our 6 distributors distribute it, and then there's the end users. And then there's the stores and the resellers, basically. And then there's the end users. So there's typically 4 layers. So then you've got the 5th layer that just kind of inserts them in there somewhere. And I mean, yeah, they're selling stuff that Wizards isn't printing anymore, but would Wizards do more reprint sets if there was no secondary market? Probably. So that's a little bit of a gray area there, but in general, they just kind of insert themselves into the chain of products and start taking money from the end users. I have a big problem with that because it's stupid. Plus, it's not even just out of print stuff. It's not just people hoarding $1,000 boxes from 15 years ago. Do you go to cardkingdom.com on day 1 of a release and have a big sign that says, sorry, we don't sell Amonkhet. We only sell older stuff because it's more valuable. We only sell stuff we've been holding for 3 or more years. No, it doesn't matter who you are. An investor, a reseller, a single seller, an online seller, an LGS. It doesn't matter. You are going to sell the current set even if you make $3 a box. That's just what you do because it would be weird to not carry the latest set. I mean, I can't think of anybody or any company or any person that's just give me 500 boxes of Amonkhet, and then boop, all goes into storage. Not one single box goes up for sale on their website, their TCG page, their eBay store, whatever. No, that's just stupid. Why would they do that? They can't do that and still have customers. I mean, that would be such a weird, niche type of thing to do. You'd have to be onlyoldmtg.com or something like that. What the hell? So what's the detrimental effect this has? Well, shocker, it's about 96 to 98 a box on eBay for just about anything in standard on the day of release. So if your gaming store decides instead of the typical 100, 105 that almost every local store typically sells their boxes at, they're going to charge 120 just because they need the money. It's their big product. They just can't pay the rent and the bills and the employees' salaries without selling them for 120. Well, everybody waves them goodbye and goes to eBay and buys it for $98. I mean, there's supporting your local gaming store, and then there's like a $25 difference. That would be like a 20% difference. Okay, I'm not going to pay 20% more just based on principle. That's just stupid. Now, if it's 96, 98 bucks online and you can get it for like 107 at your local gaming store, yeah, just go to your local gaming store. I mean, it's such a like small amount that you're like, yeah, I want to keep them in business, and it makes them a real decent profit. But these big sellers that put up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 cases of boxes, just whatever they ordered, and they just say, screw it, all we have to do is sit in our underwear eating Doritos and Hot Pockets while watching Netflix and put labels on things. I am not kidding. That's how most of us run our businesses. Yeah, it's a real hard business to be in, you guys. So difficult. If anybody says that, just slap them. They're so full of crap. You take a box out of another box. Sometimes you don't even do that, for God's sake. And then you slap a label on it and bring it to the post office or hand it to the postman. Wow, that's hard. I mean, it's hard to qualify for a $50,000 to $100,000 credit line credit card and maintain a good credit score like I have. But after that, it's not hard work. I mean, come on. Now, I should mention I'm a single seller. I've only sold 4 sealed products in my life, and I literally mean 4 boxes of a product in my entire life. I've opened about 500 plus boxes and sold them as singles, so I'm not really the sealed product guy that I'm, referring to. So these people, they sit there making tiny little margins, but it nets them a lot of money because it's so minimal labor, they can do it. They just need storage and a credit card. That's literally it. Oh, and a printer and a reel of tape. Like, ooh, it's such a hard job. And they just sit there and lose money for local gaming stores. It's super not fair. Once again, the argument could be made. What if you live 3 hours away from a local gaming store or a Target or Barnes & Noble's or Walmart, and you need to get a box of it because your friends still play? You got a ton of people who just play at school or whatever. Well, they're providing ship to anywhere in the US availability of every product for a reasonable price. Good for them. But it's the same thing. At the end of the day, they're not doing it to help those people out who live in like rural areas. They're doing it for the money. So that kind of wipes away the whole moral aspect of it and any kind of benefits. So they're really not helping local gaming stores, and they're just inserting themselves as middlemen and saying, oh, you want to play Magic that's slightly older and slightly more valuable? You got to go through me and you got to pay me more. That's their motto. On top of that, you've got the market manipulation because they're just not making enough money. They got to do singles buyouts. They got to, lie about stuff. They got to bribe people to write articles about how hot certain cards are going to be in the future modern decks and hype it up like crazy while they also own 1,000 copies of the card themselves. Just crooked stuff. That's what a lot of these investors end up doing, especially the super huge ones, and they will just outright lie to you about certain stuff if it means they can make a couple more $1,000s from the results. They'll even lie about the quantity of something that they have. They'll start doing really shady stuff like, I'm not going to buy a box of blah unless you sell it to me for 70 or less. That's just how I do things. Which, by the way, is a load of crap because no distributor charges that little. But when they buy out stuff from individuals, oh, that's their story. Even though, they would buy it for 80 probably. I mean, if it's a good enough set. They just lie about it and say, no, we don't pay above 70. Sorry, that's our budget. Just to rip them off even more and make their margins even higher. They take advantage of desperate people, and the argument could be made, so do loan places, so do pawn shops. It's out there, whatever. It's still kind of providing a service to, like, a local gaming store that's going under, and they just need to ditch their inventory somewhere. So these investors are like, yeah, I've got 20,000 cash. I'll buy it all up at 60 a box. It's rude. It's mean. It's not very nice, but it is kind of a smart business decision. I'll give them that, but nothing about what they do is particularly polite or helpful to the MTG community. But what's the number one beef I have with these investor types, the MTG finance world? They constantly complain about things that are not actually wrong with products or companies. And once again, goes without saying who I'm specifically referring to, although really, honestly, multiple people, but you get the idea. Oh, this is terrible. How could they reprint this? It's so stupid. How the hell could they reprint Eternal Masters? They're losing faith with their biggest customers, which is provably not true, that it's not the investors. Oh, the investors aren't going to trust them. This is going to cost them so much money. Oh, everybody at Wizards is so stupid. How dumb are they? Oh my God, how dare they reprint this? The reason they reprinted it, according to their own statement, which, the truth of that is debatable, but assuming it is true, not enough end customers got their hands on the product. People still wanted it. It was still on the open market like eBay for $270 to $300 a box. Obviously, they need to make more. That is what needs to happen. So whether or not they actually printed more or had it the whole time, this isn't the best example. None of these examples are pristine. But let's talk about video games. How dare they make a reprint of the collector's edition? Oh my gosh, they're losing faith with everybody. They're so stupid. A bunch of chimpanzees work there. How dumb are they? They need to fire everybody. Are you freaking kidding me? So like Final Fantasy printed a collector's edition, a limited edition run, and they printed, let's say, 100,000. Probably 50% of it was bought up by douchebag investors, which literally caused the problem. Oh, and then people are complaining, oh my God, I looked at 4 different stores, every GameStop in the area, every Walmart, every Target, everything. I couldn't get my hands on it and I wanted it. I'm not going to pay double online because they're just scalpers. It's probably the same damn people too. It's the frickin' investors. I wanted a collector's edition. You didn't make enough. And 10,000 people tweet them that. And so they're like, okay, we're going to re-release the collector's edition. If 10,000 of your customers are saying we want something, we will buy this if you make more of it. Also, it's a high margin premium item. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to make more of it. Only really Nintendo is one of the most notorious companies to be so stupid that when customers want more of something like the Nintendo Wii, the original one, they still continue to not make enough and they still continue to not meet demand. A normal company, when they see more demand and more potential customers, they make more of the product. Now, if they said this is a limited edition run, but they didn't literally say, we are making 1,000 and stopping, we promise, here's your serial number. Okay, then if they make more, they're dicks. But if they just called it the collector's edition and they sort of implied that it would be kind of rare, and then it turned out it was actually pretty rare because nobody could get their hands on it, but then more people want it, so they made more, there's nothing wrong with that. That's how business works. That's how a market works. That's how economies work. Surprise newsflash for y'all. The whole world doesn't revolve around you and your stupid, greedy stack of 500 copies of the damn game that they just devalued. Oh, poor you. You made a stupid decision, okay? You knew damn well that they could reprint as many as they wanted. You knew that that was a possibility, okay? You're not guaranteed to win on every single bet. And the vast majority of the market is not you. It's the customers. If the customers want more of your stuff, you make more. Screw the investors, the hoarders, and the people who the hell knows how, but they got their hands on hundreds, if not thousands of copies of whatever it is. I mean, the same goes for like amiibos. People will go on like release day, they'll have friends that work at the store, they'll text them when they're about to hit the shelf, or they'll hold some behind, hide them in the bathroom. And the amiibo trade is right up there with like the mafia, I mean, for real. So then if Nintendo decides, I'm going to re-release this amiibo because it sold really well and was especially scarce. Oh, what a dumb company. How dare they? They're devaluing it. Nobody's going to trust them. No, it's just you. It's just you personally complaining because you personally didn't make money off of stealing the product from legitimate customers. Oh, boo-hoo, poor you. So back in the MTG finance world, how dare they reprint Eternal Masters? How dare they include Snapcaster Mage? I invested in those and I'm entitled to free money. No, you aren't. Shut the hell up. Okay, you're just greedy and lazy. When the price on a card goes from 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 to 70 to 80, guess what? They're going to reprint it because people still play Modern. They still need the damn card. Oh, how could they reprint such a high volume of fetch lands? Because people need fetch lands, you idiot. They need them to play the game. Oh, but I just invested in fetch lands and I just bought up a whole bunch of them and now they just devalued it. Nobody's going to trust them. No, you're going to trust them less and you shouldn't have trusted them in the first place, you greedy idiot. Anytime a price gets too high, expect Wizards' little reprint hammer to pound the price back down, okay? They've been a little bit shy about it in past years where they want to reprint real conservatively. They want to really limit the amounts and they don't want to kill the market too much, mostly because somebody who's not even an investor but still spent $1,000 on a deck doesn't want the deck to be worth $500 overnight. I get that. But they've been a little bit too, like they're catering to the investors lately, and well, not lately, in the past. Lately, they're like, throw them under the bus, screw them. If we want to trick them into buying 100 copies of Planechase Anthology, good, they deserve it, they're parasites. They're trying to steal money from our market and take, money out of our pockets and our customers' pockets just by hoarding stuff. Screw them. Anything we can do to damage their business and get them out of it, the better. Now, if you think that's unrealistic, I'll bring up the same example that I always do, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! Nobody's dumb enough to invest heavily in Yu-Gi-Oh! Nobody. Yu-Gi-Oh! Reprints everything. I mean, everything. Like, just look at, I think it was called like Legends or something. They printed it like a year ago. It was every damn card that's ever been worth money in the history of the game. I mean, they just took the value of the market, cut it in half, and pocketed the top half. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's their game, it's their cards, it's their invention, it's their intellectual property. And if they want to reprint it straight to hell and just send a message to all the players and the investors that makes it crystal clear that this is not an asset that you should count on, ta-da, suddenly there's no more investors. They're all gone. You know why? Because it's a bad bet and it's a losing prospect overall. So if Wizards moves to that, it would benefit everybody except the investors and except for people who want to draft sets that are 8 years old, because there won't be any more investors. So do I support Wizards' potential seemingly purposeful actions that screwed over investors with Commander 2016 Eternal Masters and Planechase? Yeah, I completely support it. Absolutely 1000%. Investors are just greedy. They don't want to work a real day job. And I'm not saying, oh, everybody needs to go work in a mill like my grandpa did. Yay. No, if you want to like invent something and sell the patent for $4 million and then just like ride around on a boat all day fishing, good for you. Welcome to America. There's nothing wrong with that. Hell, I barely work a job every day. I quit my job as head IT manager of another company because I hated the job. I didn't want to work it anymore, plus the hours at my shop. I was actually working 2 jobs, so I took the more official one and said, screw it, and the one where I'm the boss, I kept that one. And like I said in my last video, my shop netted negative $400 last year, according to my QuickBooks file. Yeah, great decision, but then, hey, YouTube. So some people are like, YouTube's not a job. You shouldn't get paid for doing that. Shut the hell up. It's 2017. You're talking out your ass. There are people with dumber jobs than me. Like, for example, MTG box hoarders and investors. But these people, they just want to keep doing what they're doing because they're lazy and greedy. That's just all there is to it. I've never met an investor that's not both lazy and greedy. They might even like do a lot of work in a day, a lot of research, a lot of math, keep a lot of spreadsheets, look at a lot of analytics, read a lot of articles, but they're still deep down quite lazy just in general. They're like a hardworking lazy person, if that could even be a thing. I'm one of those like marshmallow test lazy people where I will put in all the work now to be twice as lazy tomorrow. I mean, I will like clean something today so that I don't have to repaint it 6 years from now. I take my laziness very seriously, you guys, and I work hard at it. So at the end of the day, I hate investors, whether they're the worst of the worst that causes card spikes and does artificial buyouts and lies about stuff and writes manipulative articles and colludes with others and like price fixes with others and just like the worst of the worst, or if they just like to sit on their butt with a credit card, do nothing, and sell boxes every time the timer hits 5 years. Everybody from there in between, I hate them. I absolutely despise them as people. I despise what they're doing to the game and the market, and I wish they would go away. Apparently, it would seem so does Wizards. I think we need a little bit more evidence to make that conclusive, but their actions lately I've found hilarious. So hopefully that shines a little bit more light on specifically how they work, what they mathematically do to the economics of the game, and why I really don't like investors at all, plus why their opinions and their whining about companies making the wrong decisions is just completely ludicrous. And yeah, I hope you guys just stop paying any attention to them, stop listening to anything they say. It's all a load of crap. It's all me about me. Everything is seen through the lens of just them making money, not the actual health of the game and the actual players and the actual company. And if you're just a player and you're not an investor, that's not the kind of information you want to be putting in your head. It all sounds really legit and it sounds right until you actually realize the math and logic of it and realize that it's really just them complaining because they're making less money. So let me know how much you hate investors down in the comments section, and I'll see you guys next video.